Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Max Kordek, president of the Lisk Foundation and director of Lightcurve here in Berlin. I was invited to talk today about blockchain technology, one of the biggest disruptions of the coming years. And specifically, I will talk about what or how blockchain technology will bring value to the internet. And because I'm based in Berlin, I will also at the end give a quick overview what happens here in the city in blockchain technology. So let's dive into it. So quickly, I want to explain what blockchain is to give you a quick introduction into this whole topic and why it's so disrupting. It's at the end just a database which stores data, information. And the special thing about this database is that it's decentralized. That means it's worldwide. It's not on one server. It's on many, many thousands of servers in every country of this planet. And this allows for amazing things to happen. So it's completely transparent because everyone can deploy one of these databases. Everyone can look into it and see what is happening in real life or in real time. It's trustless because everyone can plug into it. It's not possible that you can just trust an individual. The whole system has to trust itself. So it has to become a self-managed system. And this is achieved through a consensus algorithm, but I think this goes a little bit too deep. But you know, or you need to know that it's a trustless system with no middleman who controls or who can control different things happening in the system. And it's immutable. Why? Because just imagine you plug into the system and you can start to randomly delete data from the database. This would be really bad. So that's why it's designed in a way that no one can delete anything what was once written into this database, into this blockchain. But here's the problem now. So if everyone can become part of the system and can start writing data into it, and you can never delete anything from it, that means it grows indefinitely. And that means everyone could just spam it with stupid data, with stupid transactions or informations. And that's why this database, we call the blockchain or a blockchain, is tokenized. What does it mean? It means that there's a token of value which in the real world represents a real world, a fiat value like in euro or in dollar. And there's only a limited amount of these tokens. And that means everyone can just not spam, but send a specific amount of information into the database. The first example everyone is naming is, of course, Bitcoin, because Bitcoin invented basically the blockchain. And Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency because, of course, if you have a token of value, this is like the first use case you can think of, a cryptocurrency, a digital currency, digital money. And Bitcoin is utilizing this token by enabling its users to send monetary transactions around within this blockchain, within this decentralized network, from A to B, from any country in the world. So what is a monetary transaction? A monetary transaction is basically, we have person A, Alice, and person B, Bob, and they want to send or receive money. So for example, Alice is now sending money to Bob. This is a monetary transaction, really easy, right? But now this happens worldwide, like thousands and thousands of people are doing that. And basically, it becomes a huge amount of data being transmitted on this database, which is basically located all over the world on thousands of servers. And it's very hard to keep track of this, because everyone can basically be part of the system, and multiple persons can basically also own the same account, or can share one account. So that means someone in Japan and someone in America could send from the same account money through the system. And how would you know if this one account could or still owns the necessary tokens, the necessary cryptocurrency? And the way how this was solved is basically that every transaction which is occurring is being put into one block. And this block basically contains all the transactions which happened approximately on average in the last 10 minutes in this worldwide decentralized network. So this block contains now all the transactions which occurred, all the monetary transactions where people on the Bitcoin blockchain, for example, send from A to B their cryptocurrency or their token. And now something amazing happens. So this is being achieved with the consensus algorithm I named in the beginning, so a very complex and cryptographic system which is in place there. But approximately every 10 minutes, a new block comes. And this new block, again, contains all the transactions of the last 10 minutes. And this happens again and again and again. And this basically creates a blockchain. That means a chain of blocks which approximately is being added by one new block every 10 minutes. And every block of these contains all the transactions occurring on the network in that time frame. A block can't be indefinitely big, so there's a certain scalability aspect to it. It's about, I think, 8,000 or 10,000 transactions per block. And in the recent months, because there's so much hype and so much utility behind it, these blocks are getting fuller and fuller. But that's essentially what a blockchain is. And a blockchain enables you, in the very first use case in terms of the Bitcoin blockchain, to send money from everywhere in the world to everywhere in the world, instantly within 10 seconds, 10 minutes. And now, because every transaction is being collected in a block, we can say for sure, OK, this one is in a block. Every server in this decentralized network really has this block, so it's a confirmation. And we can be sure, OK, everyone has seen this confirmation, has seen this block in the network. And that means we can be sure that this transaction really arrived and that the account had enough, for example, Bitcoin in it, and so on and so forth. So at the end, it's just using like basic technologies of the last 40 years, cryptography in terms of private public key infrastructure. It uses game theory in terms of this consensus algorithm. It uses database models invented like 20 years ago. So this is nothing groundbreaking, but the combination of all of them created this new kind of technology. And I think it had to, or it took so long because the infrastructure of the internet was just not in place before, and it was not possible to have like a database which just grows and grows and grows. I think by now the Bitcoin blockchain is like 100 gigabyte big, and back in the day this would have been impossible, but now it's just 100 gigabytes. It's not an enormous amount of data anymore. So what is so revolutionary about this technology? Today, blockchain technology just enables you to send money around, to send money on the internet, on a network which is worldwide. But the next step now is that you can embed code into a blockchain for trustless execution without any middleman. It sounds complex, but basically what it means is that you're now using all these amazing parameters of blockchain technology, and you're basically using them on code, on applications. That means now you can have applications which are running trustlessly without any middleman, which are running peer-to-peer with no one controlling what is happening. And this is already happening. And that's why, basically, in the soon future, blockchain technology will tokenize whole economies. So there are some examples, like Ethereum is already allowing that or enabling that. We at Lisk, we will soon enable that as well. And basically, what it allows you to do is you can disrupt whole economies by introducing blockchain technology. For example, you could build an Uber, an Airbnb, without Uber and Airbnb. You could build it on a decentralized network where you're 100% sure that the code you once embedded into the blockchain always performs in the same way, and that no one is getting like a huge chunk of the profit. Also, it's very important that like everyone always trusts the system, and it's not always the case in these centralized organizations or corporations we see today. So this is not quite there yet, in my opinion, but the foundations are being laid in this year. They were laid last year, and it probably will take like 1 or 2 years until we really see something bigger happening in that space. But there's a lot of hype behind this. But it doesn't stop here. It's like the internet, where we had like Web 1.0, which just shows basic information, Web 2.0, which connected people with each others, and then hopefully soon a Web 3.0 which connects machines to each other. So if we are putting all these different pieces together, which is blockchain technology, then we're talking about a very powerful system. So what are these pieces? So one of the pieces is the digital identity. What does it mean? It is basically the address on the network, the address on the blockchain. We are talking about a token or cryptocurrency, which allows you to either use functionalities of this blockchain or to send money around and pay for services. It's a transparent ledger. That means everyone can look into it. And it's trustless code, which is not manipulative or can be manipulated by other third parties after it has been deployed. So for me, in my opinion, in the future, blockchain technology really empowers artificial intelligence. For me, it's like the first step towards a future of true artificial intelligence in the internet, in this connected world our planet evolves to. Why is that? So it's really, really difficult today for an AI to have an identity. But with blockchain technology, they can have an identity. They can have an address on a decentralized trustless network. They can associate whatever information they need to associate to this address, and this creates really a digital identity. They can own value. This is really something hard to grasp. A machine or just some code owning money or owning tokens to use other services. But for me, like, if you want to open a bank account, first of all, it takes quite a while. And in this case, you can basically be your own bank within seconds and create like millions of bank accounts automatically. So this is really something disruptive in my sense, that there's no difference anymore between a machine and a person. Both can have an address in this system and own value, own money. They can be aware they can be aware of what is happening around them. So nowadays, many APIs of systems are closed. I think it's not possible really to see everything what is happening in Airbnb, in Uber. But a blockchain, which is always open source, or which should always be open source, the API and the information are public. Everyone can look into it. Everyone can use it. And of course, that means also a machine can use it. Often, probably, against a token which enables them to use these services the APIs basically create. And they can use then these services automatically. They don't have to basically like create an account on the platform or verify their identity with the passport or whatever. They can just plug into it and use it. And this is really, really important because what would happen if, for example, also one of these services changes in the future? I think like once, of course, APIs constantly change, but also like the service itself changes, the legal terms change, and so on and so forth. But in this immutable blockchain world we now live in, basically, it means that the code, once deployed, never changes anymore, and that this code basically then is being owned by the whole network. So no one can fiddle around with it, no one can manipulate it. And all these aspects, for me, are enabling artificial intelligence to truly exist. They can be with an identity, they can own money, they always know what's happening around them in this blockchain system, and they can use these services again and again and again, and can make sure for 100% that these applications they're using every day are not just changing randomly because someone like the CEO decided, let's change it. No, it's in the blockchain, it's immutable, and for me it's truly a big, big step towards a future where AI will play a very important role. So if we collect it in one sentence, for me, blockchain technology is a fundamental step towards our next digital era. An era where AI plays a big role, an era where corporations are not the masters of the internet, basically, but where decentralization matters and where people of this planet gain back control over digital identities, over digital data and their lives, basically. That's blockchain. It's really hard to grasp, but I wanted in this keynote speech today here really explain what this hype is all about. It's really nothing just for the short term. It's something where we're basically laying the foundations for the next 10, 20, 30 years, where AI will play a bigger role, where digital data will play a bigger role than ever before. And we are bringing this value into today's internet, which is only a collective of servers worldwide. But now we are making this kind of internet really, really usable by bringing services into it which don't rely on corporates in the real world. So that means we are making the digital internet truly digital. It's really crazy. It's really something new. It's something disrupting. It's something really hard to grasp. But I feel like it's a big change for the future. And if you're interested in that topic, you should definitely dive deeper into it. And don't only see the monetary aspect, but also see the technology behind it, which is really disrupting the future. So what is happening here in Berlin? Berlin, for me, is one of the hotspots of the world of blockchain technology. We have many great startups here. Here's a selection of them. Some of them, of course, have their legal foundations or their legal companies somewhere else where it's better to be deployed. But many teams are sitting here in Berlin. To mention is, for example, BigChainDB, Astratum, Bitvala, Neufund, IOTA, soon Madana, Gnosis, CoinAngels. They're really like big players in this industry. And it feels like really vibrant here in Berlin because there are also like 1, 2, 3 meetups every week only about blockchain technology. For example, we at Lisk, we will in the future enable JavaScript developers to build their own blockchains or to build their own blockchain applications because we feel like this technology is really hard to get. It involves really many different technologies like cryptography, peer-to-peer algorithms, game theory, and so on. So it's a very complex topic, and developers have a hard time to get into it. So we want to make it easier. Bitvala sees that it's a problem to bring the value of the cryptocurrency world into the real world. And that's why they want to establish a Bitcoin or a blockchain bank to make it truly accessible. One example could be like paying taxes. It's really, really difficult nowadays to calculate how much taxes you have to pay because there are like thousands of transactions maybe which occurred in your case, and no one can really track it, so it's really difficult. And they try to help you out in that. And last but not least, Neufund. This world is not only for entrepreneurs who want to build decentralized services, it also opens up a world for any business in the world to get tokenized, to raise money, to represent their company on a public ledger on blockchain technology, for example, by giving or selling shares of their business. It could be just some bar around the corner. It could be a big corporation. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. So these are 3 very interesting projects, in my opinion, from Berlin. And there are many more, as I mentioned. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff happening here. And if you're interested, just check out meetup.com, and you can find so many discussions and talks about blockchain technology and dive into it deeper. And I think it's really worth it because it's one of the disrupting technologies of the future. I want to say thank you very much. Enjoy the panel discussion and the next presentation. Thank you.